On her first day at school, Lin Shi spots the guy in her photo and approaches him, asking if he is Junqing. When he confirms, he cautiously asks who she is. She responds simply, "I know you," before pulling him into an unexpected hug, leaving Junqing stunned. Later, in class, Lin Shi introduces herself and specifically asks to sit next to Junqing. Despite Junqing's open dislike and protests, she takes the seat anyway. Sensing his discomfort, she awkwardly apologizes for the hug, but Junqing brushes her off, until his pen slips and they both bend to grab it, causing their heads to collide. Junqing's irritation visibly spikes. After class, Lin Shi trails after him, pleading for a chance at friendship. She boldly asks if he feels anything for her, but Junqing, bewildered, reminds her they've only just met and calls her behavior crazy. As he storms off to his next class, Lin Shi hurries after him but trips, prompting Junqing to pause and help her up. He warns her they'll be late for Mr. Shi, the intimidating principal and math teacher. Despite their rush, they're still late, earning both a punishment. During a math problem-solving challenge, Lin Shi and Junqing present different correct solutions. Mr. Shi remains unimpressed and further penalizes them. Undeterred, Lin Shi keeps asking for his friendship. Before Junqing can respond, she stumbles again, tearing his shirt. Furious, he labels her a troublemaker but challenges her to make leaves fly, stars fall, and even remove Mr. Shi's wig if she wants to be his friend. Later, while walking with his friend Xiang, Junqing sees leaves tied to balloons floating around, a sight matching his challenge. Though amazed, he conceals it. Lin Shi then shows him a glass crystal filled with twinkling lights, saying it represents stars. Junqing dismisses it as insufficient. When Lin Shi insists their friendship matters more than any university admission, Junqing softens slightly and dares her to face the third challenge. She consults her friend Yi Mian, who warns her about the risk of tampering with the principal's wig. Back at school, as Junqing hangs a banner for an event, Yi Mian accidentally collides with Lin Shi. Junqing catches Lin Shi, but the falling banner lands on Mr. Shi's head, dislodging his wig. Chaos ensues as everyone flees. In class, Mr. Shi demands the culprit step forward. Amidst suppressed laughter, Junqing confesses, prompting Lin Shi to join him. Both are punished by holding a sign about hard work bringing lifelong happiness. Junqing's frustration boils over. He tells Lin Shi she's only brought trouble since they met. She apologizes, but he coldly demands she stop following him. The next day, Lin Shi persists, following Junqing to the cafeteria, where Xiang and Yi Mian tease them about their initial hug. Pushed to his limit, Junqing grabs the school microphone and announces that Lin Shi hugged him first and that they're not friends, nor does he even know her. His public rejection wounds Lin Shi deeply. Taking the mic, she apologizes to him before everyone, explaining she never meant to be a burden. She reveals her joy at seeing him again, having believed they'd never meet. A flashback reveals that Lin Shi's late brother's heart was donated to Junqing after a tragic accident, explaining her desperate need to connect. Realizing this, Junqing cuts off her speech, believing she was about to confess her love. Since he doesn't know about the heart donation, Junqing returns home feeling unsettled, only to be surprised by Lin Shi's presence there. His mother explains that Lin Shi's parents are out of town and she'll be staying with them in return for a favor Lin Shi's family did for theirs. When Junqing asks for details, his mother refuses but insists that he take good care of Lin Shi and makes it clear that he's responsible for her. Junqing's mother leads Lin Shi to her room and asks if Junqing has been bothering her. Lin Shi admits he has, but clarifies that he hasn't gone too far. His mother reassures her that no matter how tough Junqing pretends to be, she knows he has a kind heart. Once left alone, Lin Shi writes in her diary to her late brother, describing Junqing as harsh, completely different from him, and difficult to deal with, but she vows to do whatever it takes to earn his friendship. The next day, Lin Shi accidentally enters Junqing's bathroom, prompting him to shout for her to leave immediately. When Junqing emerges, she notices he's wearing his shirt inside out from nerves. Despite his anger, she can't help but laugh at him. That night, Junqing dreams of being alone in the school basement, feeling scared, when a menacing-faced Lin Shi appears, demanding he be her friend. He wakes up in a panic, determined to get rid of the girl who's invading his life. In the kitchen later, Junqing tries to get some water but suddenly spots what he believes to be Lin Shi's ghost. He screams, only to realize it's the real Lin Shi, who screams back in shock. When he asks what she's doing, she tells him she heard him screaming and came to check on him. Junqing storms back to his room, vowing revenge on the nuisance. The next morning, Lin Shi notices strange looks from a girl named Haiming directed at Junqing. Even Yi Mian picks up on it and warns Lin Shi to be cautious. Later, when Junqing asks who wants to join him in a science play, Haiming eagerly volunteers, hoping to play the role of a red blood cell, knowing that Junqing would be playing the white blood cell that embraces the red one in the final scene. For the first time, Junqing glances at Lin Shi for help, and Lin Shi suggests that Xiang play the red blood cell instead, claiming it's a better fit for him. Angered by Lin Shi's intervention, Haiming plots revenge by telling her there's a meeting at the field after school and that she must attend. Lin Shi obediently waits at the designated spot. Meanwhile, back home, Junxing's mother asks him about Lin Shi's whereabouts. When Junxing admits he doesn't know, she orders him to find her immediately. While waiting, Lin Shi grows bored but unexpectedly encounters Qin Kai, a mischievous student hiding from the school guards. Qin Kai asks why she's out so late and warns that the guards will catch them. Lin Shi urges him to stay quiet, and to her surprise, he complies, an unusual reaction from the notorious troublemaker. A short while later, Qin Kai helps her evade the guards, and Lin Shi thanks him without knowing what he was doing there. As she steps out onto the road, she finds Junxing waiting for her. He demands to know where she's been, and she explains. Junxing scolds her for not contacting him to verify Haiming's story, but Lin Shi reminds him she promised not to trouble him again. His frustration turns to anxiety, as he was genuinely worried. Brushing off his emotions, he tells her to stop talking and be quiet. Lin Shi is taken aback because these were words her brother often used, and she asks him to repeat them. He refuses, instead telling her to follow him home. The next day, Lin Shi gets back at Haiming by placing a whoopee cushion on her seat, causing an embarrassing noise when Haiming sits down. The whole class bursts into laughter. Junxing glances at Lin Shi, impressed by her retaliation, and comments that she isn't as meek as she appears. With a determined smile, Lin Shi replies that she never lets anyone get the best of her. On the day of the play, Xiang is suddenly struck by stomach pain, forcing Lin Shi to step in since she had been part of the rehearsals. In the final scene, she joyfully embraces Junxing, catching him off guard and leaving him flustered. On the way home, Junxing thanks her for saving the performance and offers to treat her to milk tea as a gesture of gratitude. However, he brings 2 separate cups, remarking that it's better for managing weight. Lin Shi, offended, refuses to take it, sparking yet another argument. During their bickering, Lin Shi trips and grabs hold of Junxing, causing his pants to fall. Junxing's childish cartoon print underwear is revealed, and Lin Shi can't stop laughing, while Junxing is mortified. Returning home, Junxing vows to rid himself of all his embarrassing underwear. Just as he's about to toss them out, Lin Shi notices and, fearing he might fall, rushes to help, only for the clothes to topple over her, escalating Junxing's embarrassment. He pretends to have twisted his ankle. Concerned, Lin Shi rushes him to the doctor, who declares his leg perfectly fine. Still, Junxing continues the charade, claiming his injury is her fault. Racked with guilt, Lin Shi pledges to assist him with everything until he recovers. Junxing seizes the opportunity to make her do chores both at home and school until she's utterly drained. While she's slumped in exhaustion on the playground, Qin Kai spots her and shows off 3 gold medals he's won, hoping to impress her. Lin Shi, however, is too weary and tells him irritably that there's an outdoor activity she needs to tackle despite her fatigue. The outdoor activity involves removing old posters from a wall. Junxing pretends his leg still hurts, prompting Lin Shi to take on all the work alone. Though he sees how tired she is, he remains indifferent. During the break, Junxing notices Lin Shi is too exhausted to eat and places her food in front of her, insisting she needs to regain her strength. Once they finish, Yi Mian scolds Lin Shi for letting Junxing take advantage of her. Lin Shi, however, insists she's responsible for his injury and must make it up to him. Shortly after, Lin Shi notices a poster for a missing cat and decides to find it. She and her friends search until they spot the cat atop a tree. When no one else moves to help, Lin Shi climbs up and rescues it, catching Junxing's attention as he admires her courage. While coming down, Junxing notices a scrape on her hand and cleans it. Lin Shi tells him, sadly, that when a cat runs away from home, it often means it is nearing the end of its life and wants to spare its owners the pain. Junxing dismisses her words as ignorant, leaving Lin Shi hurt by his lack of understanding. Upon returning home, Junxing searches the internet and discovers that what Lin Shi said might hold truth. Feeling guilty, he goes to her room to apologize but finds her asleep. He gently covers her with a blanket and, seeing how worn out she looks, removes all the posters on the wall to lessen her burden. The next day, Lin Shi is surprised to find the wall spotless. Junxing claims someone must have volunteered to do it. When a man arrives to put up another poster, Lin Shi warns him it's illegal and punishable. The man dismisses her, prompting her to say she'll remove it if he posts it. Enraged, the man attacks her, and Junxing, terrified for her safety, quickly steps in, helping her escape. Lin Shi realizes that Junxing is fine and had been faking his injury, leaving her feeling deeply hurt. She decides to cut ties with him, refusing to speak. Junxing believes she'll quickly break her silence and follow him, but Lin Shi steadfastly ignores him both at school and home, no matter how much he tries to grab her attention. One day, Junxing spots a bottle of soda, assuming Lin Shi bought it for him since he mentioned being thirsty. However, she tells him it's for Yi Mian, leaving him fuming at her indifference. Later, Lin Shi excitedly announces her plans for a basketball activity, determined to help her class win. Yi Mian points out that their class doesn't even have a basketball team, and the art club wins the contest every year. Lin Shi begins encouraging classmates to form a team, handing out candy as motivation, but she purposefully excludes Junqing. Xiang informs her that Junqing was once a top basketball player in middle school. Junqing is certain Lin Shi will have to talk to him and offer candy to join the team. Instead, she tells Xiang that Junqing doesn't look like a basketball player at all, adding that he lacks the height, leaving Junqing fuming. Lin Shi then approaches Qin Kai, asking him to join her team. Qin Kai refuses to leave his own. She explains that her passion for basketball stems from playing with her brother, and she's determined to build a strong team. Junqing waits for Lin Shi with milk tea, mixed this time, hoping to reconcile with her. However, when he sees her walking with Qin Kai, anger surges within him. In frustration, he tosses the milk tea into the trash and storms off. The next day, Lin Shi is surprised to find that Junqing has already formed a basketball team and started practicing with their classmates. Just as they are gaining momentum, rival classmates confront them, claiming the court as theirs. Junqing proposes a challenge. The winning team keeps the court. Junqing faces off against Qin Kai, who urges him to back down, but Junqing stands firm. The game begins, and Junqing emerges victorious. Qin Kai, still trying to sway Lin Shi, asks for her support, but Lin Shi, reminding him that he turned down her offer to join her team, tells him that as the team manager and head cheerleader, she cannot support the opposing side. Back in class, their teacher urges everyone to prioritize studies over basketball since the school already has an official team. Jealousy flares, and a scuffle breaks out between Junqing's team and the rival class, leading to a trip to the principal's office. The principal brokers a truce, cooling tensions temporarily. When the teacher returns, Junqing makes a passionate case for forming their own basketball team, arguing that physical activities are as crucial as mental ones. The teacher is eventually convinced. Later, Lin Shi approaches Junqing, explaining that her previous remarks weren't because she doubted his skills as a player, she was only worried about his heart and potential overexertion. Junqing, touched by her concern, promises to be careful and proposes a deal. If they win the upcoming match, they can officially be friends. On game day, both teams give their all, battling fiercely. When one of Junqing's teammates gets injured, Lin Shi steps in, determined not to let them lose. With no rules barring girls from playing, she joins the game, showcasing tricks she learned from her brother, leaving everyone astonished by her exceptional skill. Thanks to her efforts, Junqing's team secures a thrilling victory. After the match, everyone celebrates, and Lin Shi is happy because she's finally become friends with Junqing. Once everyone leaves, Junqing asks her why she wanted to be friends with him, considering she already has many friends. Lin Shi answers that he reminds her of an old friend in how he acts and behaves, appearing tough on the outside, but with a kind heart. She confesses that she enjoys being around him, and if things stay this way, she might even fall in love with him. Junqing knows she's joking, but he's still happy about her words. On the way home, it starts to rain, and Junqing offers to give Lin Shi a ride on his bike. He speeds up to make her hold onto him tightly. Both of them get soaked, and as they dry off, they laugh and have fun, with Junqing feeling himself growing closer to her. The next day, a beautiful girl named Yi gives Junqing a book on programming, a subject he loves. He gladly accepts it from her. When Lin Shi sees this scene, she decides to make her brother happy by trying to bring Junqing and Yi together, thinking Yi might like him. Lin Shi begins to devise a plan with Yi Mian, enrolling Junqing in the radio club with Yi. When Yi Mian asks why, Lin Shi explains that Junqing now holds her brother's heart, and since she considers him like her brother, she wants to make him happy in any way she can. Lin Shi then seeks Qin Kai's help to bring Junqing and Yi closer. However, Qin Kai tells her that it's his birthday and none of his friends remembered. Lin Shi decides to celebrate his birthday with him, leaving him happy and confessing to himself that he has fallen for her. Qin Kai walks Lin Shi home, a scene Junqing happens to witness, and he feels jealous. Lin Shi finds Junqing waiting for her at home, and he asks what she was doing. Lin Shi explains that she was trying to make him happy. Junqing tells her that he won't be happy if she keeps hanging out with Qin Kai. Lin Shi, however, clarifies that she was getting information about Yi, as she's his classmate. She tells Junqing that Yi is sweet, beautiful, and perfect for him, leaving Junqing in a state of shock. Lin Shi tells Junqing that she joined the radio club to help him get closer to Yi. However, the next day, she discovers that Xiang has also signed her up, so she ends up being part of the club too. When the students gather, they find out that Qin Kai is also part of the team. As the students begin to form groups, Yi Mian pairs up with Xiang, while Lin Shi chooses to team up with Qin Kai, leaving Junqing with Yi. Junqing asks the group to write some introductions for a short film, but everyone makes excuses, leaving only Junqing to do the task. Lin Shi offers to help, and Junqing offers to give her a ride home, not concerned with what the other students will think about them living together. Lin Shi tells Junqing that he and Yi would make a great duo, and Junqing, filled with jealousy, responds that she and Qin Kai would probably be amazing together and might win the competition, which only fuels his jealousy further. The next day, Yi Mian tells Lin Shi that she won the competition with Qin Kai. However, Lin Shi suspects the result was tampered with, and it turns out that Qin Kai's friends were the ones who rigged it. Lin Shi and Qin Kai decide to confess to the principal and give the prize to Yi and Junqing instead. Later, when Junqing enters the cafeteria, he sees Lin Shi and Qin Kai eating together, laughing and bonding, which stirs up his jealousy. During the award ceremony, Lin Shi is distracted, watching Junqing and Yi, imagining her brother in Junqing's place. Qin Kai notices and asks her why she's staring at them. Lin Shi admits that they look like a perfect pair and that she wishes they'd be together. Junqing overhears and grows even more jealous. After the ceremony, Qin Kai shines the spotlight on Lin Shi, praising her for being beautiful and well-liked. Before he can confess his feelings, the principal interrupts the moment, and Junqing quickly pulls Lin Shi away. The next day, Qin Kai confesses his love for Lin Shi, but she tells him that she sees him as a friend and can't feel anything beyond that. Lin Shi later conducts interviews with the club members, starting with Xiang and Qin Kai. Every time she asks Qin Kai a question, he responds with flirtatious comments, which makes Junqing jealous, so he leaves the interview early. Lin Shi then films Yi and Junqing for the award ceremony. She asks Junqing to adjust his position several times, and when he fails, she moves to adjust him herself. Junqing's heart races from her closeness, and he finally admits to himself that he has fallen for her too. Later, Lin Shi contacts Qin Kai, asking him to bring Yi to the amusement park to get her closer to Junqing. The four friends enter the haunted house, but Lin Shi asks the men in charge to choose the intelligence games for Junqing, while she will take the horror challenges, as she is worried about Junqing's heart. Inside, Yi comments to Junqing that Lin Shi and Qin Kai are screaming and seem to be having a lot of fun, which only increases Junqing's jealousy. However, Qin Kai presses a button that opens two rooms, and Junqing gets stuck in one while Qin Kai escapes. This frustrates both Qin Kai and Yi, who watch Junqing and Lin Shi from the outside. When a ghost appears, Lin Shi hugs Junqing to calm him down, worried about his heart. Junqing, however, thinks she's clinging to him for protection, so he starts protecting her. On the way back home, Lin Shi feels anxious because Junqing has been delayed with Yi, and while holding the camera, she realizes that Junqing had entered the room and was filming her, which embarrasses her. She asks him what he was doing, and he responds by pointing out that at least he didn't have dinner with Yi like she did with Qin Kai. The next morning, both are surprised to find their friends outside their house, confessing that they found out they were living together. Junqing defends Lin Shi, telling everyone that she's his cousin, so it's normal for them to live together while her parents are out of town. Xiang asks if they're in love or if their parents arranged their marriage when they were young, causing Lin Shi to deny everything, while Junqing seems unfazed. At school, Yi meets Lin Shi and asks her to convince Junqing to go out with her on Christmas Eve since she'll be leaving at the end of the year and won't return to China. Yi tells Lin Shi that when she asked Junqing, he told her he would go with Lin Shi instead. Lin Shi tries to convince Junqing, but he tells her he made up the excuse about her because he doesn't want to go out with Yi. He then nervously says he has other plans. In class, the teacher asks Junqing to draw a painting for the end-of-year art activity. When the other students refuse to help, Lin Shi volunteers to assist him, setting the condition that if they win for the best painting, Junqing will go out with Yi on Christmas Eve. Lin Shi then goes to the classroom where the winning paintings are always made, and she's amazed at the high level of the artwork. At the end of the day, Qin Kai arrives and offers to give Lin Shi a ride home, and she agrees. When Junqing arrives at the spot, he stops Lin Shi, telling her that he will take her home. To avoid any trouble, Lin Shi rides on Junqing's bike while sending Qin Kai away on his own bike. The next day, Junqing discovers that Lin Shi has fallen asleep exhausted in front of the painting. He starts admiring her lovingly, especially when he notices her face covered in paint. Lin Shi wakes up and tells him that she got the idea to paint a glowing, neon-colored piece, simple yet bright in the dark. She tells Junqing that she's happy with the result and hopes they win. Junqing responds that if they win, he will give the prize to Yi, asking if that makes her happy. Lin Shi replies that she just wants Junqing to fall in love and be happy, as she doesn't care about her own happiness. To their surprise, Junqing and Lin Shi win the competition, though it turns out that Qin Kai had erased their painting from the class's collection to ensure their victory. At home, Lin Shi feels uneasy because Junqing is going out with Yi Yi alone, and even worse, Junqing takes her to buy a gift for Yi Yi. Lin Shi picks a scarf, but Junqing tells her it's too childish and won't suit Yi Yi, making Lin Shi angry. She storms out of the store. Junqing then meets Yi Yi and gives her flowers, only to find out that she isn't actually leaving. She confesses that she did everything just to get him to go out with her. Junqing tells her that he only sees her as a friend and doesn't have any romantic feelings for her, leaving her behind as he walks away. Meanwhile, Lin Shi is sitting at a cafe, watching the snowfall and wishing happiness for her family and Junqing. Junqing appears from behind her and gives her the scarf she had chosen, saying it suits her. He then takes her out to watch the snow, looking exhausted because he had been searching for her everywhere for a long time. But he tells her he's happy to be with her. Back at home, Lin Shi falls ill, and Junqing takes care of her throughout the night. When she wakes up, Lin Shi tells Junqing she had dreamed of delicious food, to which Junqing shows her his hand, with bite marks on it, joking that she thought his hand was food. Afterward, Junqing catches the illness, and Lin Shi decides to take care of him as well. As she gets close to his chest to check if he's breathing, Junqing suddenly wakes up, causing both of them to feel awkward. The next day, Junqing rides his bike to school with Lin Shi, joking that she has gained weight, and he can't carry her anymore. Lin Shi reminds him that she helped him when his leg was broken, even though he tricked her without mercy. Junqing retorts that if he wasn't merciful, then who was it that took down the wall posters? Lin Shi is thrilled to learn that it was him who removed them for her. At school, the students begin preparing for exams by studying together. Since Lin Shi is smarter than everyone, she decides to ask Junqing for help, knowing he's always been more accomplished than her. When the results are announced, it turns out that Lin Shi came in second place while Junqing was first, as usual. The friends decide to go out together during the break to celebrate, but Lin Shi tells them that she will go back to her village to visit her family because she has missed them. Junqing feels sad but takes her to the lake and throws a small scream. Lin Shi jokes that she's better than him, and when she tries to catch him, she drops her phone in the water along with his. She attempts to go in and retrieve it, but Junqing stops her, pulling her away from the spot. He asks if she won't be able to reach him now. Lin Shi is confused by his question, and Junqing, nervously, says that she's the one who organizes the house, and he worries he won't find some of his things. Lin Shi reassures him that she will contact him. Junqing asks if she remembers his number. At that moment, Lin Shi feels her brother's protective instincts over her, similar to what Junqing is doing, so she hugs Junqing, telling him that she'll be fine. Junqing is stunned but happy. He asks if she remembers the number, and Lin Shi shyly admits that she does. When they return, Junqing finds Yi Yi waiting for him. She tells him that she heard from his mother that Lin Shi's brother had donated his heart to him before he died. Junqing is shocked, especially remembering Lin Shi's words and her continuous efforts to get closer to him. Yi Yi asks if Junqing still doesn't consider Lin Shi his type or love her. Junqing confirms what he said earlier, that Lin Shi isn't his type, and that he doesn't love her. Lin Shi overhears this and storms off in anger. She doesn't understand why she's crying after learning that he doesn't love her. However, he continues that it was in the past, while now, he has feeling for her. The next morning, Lin Shi leaves without saying goodbye. When Junqing asks his mother, she confirms that Lin Shi has left. Junqing quickly takes Jinkai's bike to catch up with Lin Shi, but he discovers that she has already left. Lin Shi arrives home, where she's greeted by her parents, who are excited to see her. Her father asks about her grades, and she tells him she came second in her class. When her father mentions Junqing, Lin Shi quickly leaves the room, refusing to talk about him. She finds a new phone her father bought for her. As she inserts the SIM card, she discovers numerous messages and missed calls from Junqing but chooses not to respond, deciding to ignore him. When Junqing calls Xiang to ask why Lin Shi is ignoring him, Xiang informs him that Yi Mian is talking to Lin Shi. Junqing takes the phone from Yi Mian, but she hangs up when she hears his voice. Junqing tells Yi Mian that he upset Lin Shi and wants to send her a gift. Yi Mian tells him Lin Shi's address, but later, Xiang scolds her for revealing it. Junqing goes immediately to Lin Shi's father's shop. When Lin Shi sees him there, she tells him to leave. Junqing approaches her and asks why she's ignoring him. Lin Shi demands that he leave, but Junqing refuses. They argue, and just before some items fall on Lin Shi, Junqing manages to catch them. At that moment, Lin Shi's father enters. Before he can scold Junqing, Junqing introduces himself, and Lin Shi's father warmly welcomes him. The parents begin to take extra care of Junqing, which frustrates Lin Shi. Later, Lin Shi's father asks Junqing to show him a picture of his younger brother, which makes Lin Shi feel even more upset about their attention towards him. Later, Lin Shi's father invites Junqing to play a basketball game. While posing for a picture, Lin Shi notices her mother showing more interest in Junqing than in her, especially when she asks her mother to leave the picture. Lin Shi gets angry, but Junqing follows her. Lin Shi asks him to be lenient with her father, explaining that he is an older man and can't play as well. However, during the game, Junqing is shocked by Lin Shi's father's skill and ends up losing to him. Lin Shi, disappointed by the outcome, demands they play again. Lin Shi convinces Junqing to hold her father so she can score a goal against him, just like her brother used to do. Junqing notices how happy her parents are to have him around. After the match, Junqing asks Lin Shi why she pulled away from him. Lin Shi tells him that she overheard his conversation with Yi Yi, but Junqing reassures her that he was talking about Yi Yi, not about her. He then asks if she trusts him, and Lin Shi says that she does. Junqing then asks if she's been getting closer to him because of her brother's heart. Lin Shi hesitates but admits that she has been. Junqing is shocked to hear that she never saw him as special and that she only approached him because of the heart. He sadly tells her that her brother's heart isn't with him but with his younger brother. That's why her father wanted to see a picture of his younger brother. The next day, Lin Shi apologizes to Junqing if she caused him any pain and tells him that he should return to the city today. Junqing asks her if she would have pursued him and tried to be friends if she had known from the beginning that he didn't have her brother's heart. Before Lin Shi can answer, their friends arrive, asking her to take them on a tour of the village. Yi Mian tells Lin Shi that even though Junqing doesn't have her brother's heart, he's a kind and good young man. Lin Shi meets Junqing and apologizes to him for treating him like her brother. She tells him that any guy who took her brother's heart would have made her want to get close to him. Lin Shi says that if he wants to end their friendship, she doesn't mind, but Junqing tells her that he wants to be her friend, but with his own heart, not as her brother. When they return to school, Lin Shi changes her seat to sit next to Yi Mian. Although this hurts Junqing, he pretends that it doesn't bother him. Soon, Qin Kai's friend arrives and informs Lin Shi that Qin Kai's grades are bad, and he's upset about it. However, Qin Kai is pretending to cry in order to get closer to Lin Shi. When Lin Shi finds him, Qin Kai tells her that he's sad about his grades and asks for her help. Lin Shi agrees to help Qin Kai study and reassures him that she won't leave him. Meanwhile, Yi Yi meets Junqing and apologizes for everything, telling him that she's really going to study abroad. Junqing, however, responds indifferently, wishing her a pleasant journey. Yi Yi feels heartbroken, as she had hoped for a different response from him. Qin Kai, on the other hand, goes to Lin Shi's classroom to study, making Junqing feel increasingly jealous of the situation. Junqing tells Lin Shi that they should leave, but Qin Kai reminds him that Lin Shi no longer lives at his place, but rather in the dorms. Junqing gets angry at Qin Kai for saying this. When they return home, Junqing is frustrated and talks to his mother, expressing that Lin Shi staying in the dorms isn't the right thing. The next day, Junqing accompanies Lin Shi while she studies for Qin Kai, trying to annoy him by claiming that he's smarter than Qin Kai. However, both Junqing and Lin Shi are surprised when Qin Kai answers the difficult questions correctly and even asks Junqing even harder ones. Lin Shi realizes that Qin Kai had been playing her, and she decides not to tutor him anymore. Afterward, the two of them take Lin Shi to the dorm. Qin Kai asks Junqing to leave, but he's shocked to find that Junqing has moved into the dorms to be closer to Lin Shi. Qin Kai is very upset, but Junqing tells him that he had no choice. The two of them bet that whoever gets the higher grades in the upcoming exam will have the final say on whether Junqing stays in the dorm. They decide to challenge each other with questions, and Lin Shi becomes the judge between them. Tired of their behavior, she starts playfully hitting both of them whenever they answer a question incorrectly. Meanwhile, Yi Mian asks Xiang to help her open a small candy-selling stall at school to collect money for a BTS concert ticket. With the help of their friends, they manage to smuggle the sweets into the school, and Yi Mian successfully earns money from this endeavor. While leaving the dorm, Lin Shi discovers that Junqing and Qin Kai are waiting for her downstairs. Qin Kai, with his foot injured, asks for her help to get to the hospital. However, Junqing, feeling jealous, rushes to carry Qin Kai in his arms. Once they arrive at the hospital, Junqing is exhausted from carrying Qin Kai and falls asleep. Lin Shi stays by his side, caring for him, and looks at him with affection. When Junqing wakes up, he tells her that his younger brother, Lucci, will come to meet her. On the day of the exam, both Junqing and Qin Kai are surprised to find that they have received exactly the same grade. Qin Kai goes to Lin Shi's class to tell her about his result, but he finds Yi Mian in front of him, forcing him to buy from her. When he sees Lin Shi outside the class, he calls out to her, but Junqing takes her away, telling him that she is already occupied for the whole day. Junqing then takes Lin Shi to meet his younger brother, Lucci, who is very sweet and gentle. Lucci invites Lin Shi to their home, where she buys him gifts. During dinner, Lin Shi feels warmth and happiness with Junqing's family. On their way back, Lin Shi finds that Qin Kai is waiting for her, telling her that he will take her home. Junqing feels jealous and objects, but Qin Kai tells him that Lin Shi is tired and that he'll take her by scooter. Lucci, noticing Junqing's jealousy, suggests that Junqing should buy a scooter too, or Qin Kai might steal Lin Shi away from him. On the way, Qin Kai tells Lin Shi that he will introduce her to something special to him, as he feels jealous of her getting to know Junqing's family. He takes her to the school's storage room and shows her the plants there, claiming that they are his family. Lin Shi is confused by his words. Meanwhile, the school principal, while taking a shower, notices that the water has been cut off. He goes to the storage room and finds that Qin Kai has been sleeping there, unknowingly blocking the water with his foot. The principal decides to punish Qin Kai and requests that his guardian come to the school this time. Qin Kai sadly tells Lin Shi that no one from his family will be able to come. When she asks his friend about it, he reveals that Qin Kai's mother has passed away and that his father is too absorbed in his work to attend, sending his assistant every time instead. Lin Shi tells their friends that they need to find someone to act as Qin Kai's guardian for the school meeting. They decide to choose Junqing's mother for the task. Qin Kai arrives at Junqing's house and, as soon as he sees Junqing's mother, he hugs her, calling her Mom. The lady, confused, doesn't understand what's happening. Junqing tells his mother everything, and she agrees to help Qin Kai. She accompanies him to the school and tells the principal that her son is a failure and cannot learn, so she intends to withdraw his file and teach him a trade instead. The principal immediately backs down, saying that Qin Kai is actually talented and that the matter isn't serious, he just needs to apologize. Junqing's mother leaves, and Qin Kai thanks her for her help. She tells him that she's happy to have assisted him and that he can ask her for anything else if needed. Meanwhile, Junqing and Lin Shi visit Luqi's school, where they meet his younger classmate, Yu, who drops her toy car into a fountain. The little girl starts crying, and Junqing and Lin Shi rush to retrieve the car, but the tap turns on, spraying them with water as they both laugh in delight. They talk about their favorite drinks, and Junqing shares that his favorite drink now is milk tea, which makes Lin Shi happy. Meanwhile, Teacher Shi learns about Qin Kai's situation, looks into his file, and realizes that his mother is deceased and his father works abroad. Teacher Shi tells Qin Kai that he is now in the place of his father, and if he makes a mistake, he will be the one to be punished. He also tells Qin Kai to let him know if he needs anything. The next day, Yi Mian announces to everyone that concert tickets are limited. She asks everyone to sit at their computers, and whoever manages to buy a ticket first should let the others know. Junqing is the fastest and successfully buys a ticket, making Yi Mian happy. Lin Shi then takes Junqing to buy a gift for Yi Mian as a present for the concert. Afterward, they go out for a meal. While there, they notice a small doll inside the restaurant, part of a competition. Lin Shi tells Junqing that she wants the doll, and she convinces him to buy a large number of meals in order to get the prize. Later, Luqi and Yu arrive. Luqi wants to play with Lin Shi's toy, but Junqing stops him, saying it's Lin Shi's. Lin Shi looks at Junqing with love and happiness. At school, Junqing tells Lin Shi that the concert is a scam, that the tickets were a fraud, and that they probably wouldn't arrive. He had tried to reach out to the event organizer, but no one responded. When the friends learn about this, they all try to convince Yi Mian that going to the concert might be a bad idea and that she should reconsider. But Yi Mian stubbornly refuses and insists that she will go no matter what. Just as Xiang starts to tell her the tickets are fake and won't arrive, a package with the concert tickets shows up, leaving Xiang speechless. In the math class, the power goes out, and the teacher asks them to continue the lesson using their phone flashlights. When Lin Shi shines her flashlight on Junqing, she sees the keychain she gave him hanging from his bag. She feels incredibly happy. After the teacher leaves, Xiang moves to sit next to Yi Mian, asking her to peel some sunflower seeds for him. Meanwhile, Lin Shi sits beside Junqing, and they cover their heads with their June zingets. Lin Shi asks Junqing which university he wants to attend. He replies that he's not sure yet, but anything will do. Lin Shi then tells him which university she wants to attend and says she'll allow him to join her there. Junqing decides he'll also attend the same university as Lin Shi and continues to gaze at her beauty. Teacher Shi returns to class, and the lights come back on. He notices Xiang eating sunflower seeds, Yi Mian reading a BTS magazine, and everyone busy with something. When he looks toward Junqing and Lin Shi, still under their June zinget, he lifts it up and realizes they've been studying. The students laugh at their cleverness, but the teacher, fooled, praises them, saying he wishes everyone were like them. Yi Mian then discovers the concert tickets are in the magazine the teacher took. She approaches him to ask for the magazine, but the teacher tells her he will give it to her if she gets 130 points on the math exam. Yi Mian feels discouraged because she's struggling with math, but all her friends help her study. She manages to pass the test with 132 points. Yi Mian retrieves the magazine and the concert ticket, and tells everyone that the event is today. Xiang feels sad, knowing that it's a scam and that her heart will be broken. Yi Mian gets ready for the concert and heads to the venue, only to discover it was all a fraud. She feels disappointed and starts crying. However, she soon finds her friends, led by Xiang, standing on stage, singing her favorite songs. Yi Mian's tears turn into tears of joy. The next day, the students learn they have only 300 days left until university entrance exams and must work hard if they want to get into the colleges they desire. Junxing asks Lin Shi to wait for him after school. He goes to his mother, asking her to convince his father to let him join the programming college, as he doesn't want to attend business school. His mother assures him that she supports his decision and will encourage whatever choice he makes. Junxing returns to Lin Shi and excitedly tells her that his mother has agreed. To celebrate, he invites her to get ice cream. Meanwhile, Qin Kai goes to Lin Shi and tells her he's participating in a running competition and wants her to cheer for him. He promises to give her a medal if he wins. Lin Shi goes to the competition and cheers for Qin Kai, motivating him to do his best, and he wins. She celebrates with him, and he gives her the medal as a gift. They take pictures together. Junxing, on the other hand, goes to the head of the programming club to ask if he can rejoin. The teacher gives him a quick test, but Junxing fails, and the teacher refuses to let him back into the club. Junxing returns home and studies non-stop to be eligible to rejoin the club, so much so that he falls asleep at any time and anywhere due to exhaustion. Seeing his condition, Lin Shi asks their friends to convince the teacher to let Junxing back into the club. Junxing goes to the bathroom and finds the teacher there, but the teacher refuses to talk to him. Just then, the friends arrive and tell the teacher that they will stop him from leaving the bathroom unless he gives Junxing another chance. Though Junxing is unaware of their plan, he's happy about it. Meanwhile, the other students stand outside, watching the bathroom. When the teacher eventually comes out, Junxing asks him if he's agreed to give him another chance, and the teacher says he will think about it. Outside, Lin Shi goes to say goodbye to Qin Kai, who's leaving for a sports camp for a few days. Junxing is visibly jealous because of their closeness. Meanwhile, Yi Mian and Xiang's candy-selling business is doing well, and they even start handing out flyers about their class. One of their classmates makes a mistake and hands a flyer to teacher Shi, who then orders a large batch from Yi Mian. When the student goes to pick up the order, he tries to warn Yi Mian and Xiang to escape, but they don't understand until teacher Shi shows up. Before the teacher can catch them, Yi Mian and Xiang manage to escape. Not knowing where to go, they start distributing the candies to their classmates as they run. Lin Shi and Junxing grab some candies and eat them quickly before teacher Shi can catch up with them. Meanwhile, teacher Shi catches Yi Mian and Xiang and starts scolding Yi Mian, but Xiang steps in, telling his father that it wasn't Yi Mian's idea, but his own. By the time Lin Shi and Junxing finish eating, they discover they've been accepted into the university and celebrate happily, hugging each other. However, they soon realize what they've done and pull away, feeling embarrassed. Outside the teacher's office, Xiang continues to boast about his bravery in defending Yi Mian, but his friends soon notice him behind them, and they begin to warn him. Xiang then starts praising his father instead. Teacher Shi gives Xiang the remaining candies he confiscated and asks him to distribute them to the students, telling him to stop selling them. However, Xiang points out that the candies will cover his allowance for the next month, calling it a better punishment. After school, Lin Shi and Junxing meet up, and she scolds him for writing such a complicated essay, as the teacher had criticized him in front of the whole class. On their way home, Hai Ming bumps into Lin Shi, causing her to fall. Before Junxing can scold her, Lin Shi tells him that she forgives Hai Ming, which earns her even more of Junxing's respect. Meanwhile, Yi Mian tells Xiang that she's going to visit her online friend from another country because she likes him. Xiang, who has had feelings for her for a long time, feels jealous and upset, so he leaves in frustration. Yi Mian returns to the dorm and tells Lin Shi she's going to travel. Lin Shi shares that she bought a gift for Junxing and plans to give it to him once he passes the test. The next day, both Lin Shi and Junxing learn that they've passed the test and will be taking the college entrance exam together. However, their teacher tells them that Professor Shi is waiting for them in his office. They arrive to find Hai Ming and her mother in the office, accusing Junxing of helping Lin Shi cheat on the test since they got nearly identical scores, claiming it was because Junxing likes her. Lin Shi defends them, saying that just because they are friends doesn't mean they are in love. Hai Ming's mother then reveals that she stole Lin Shi's gift for Junxing, saying, "If you don't like him, why would you buy him such an expensive gift?" When Junxing sees the gift, his eyes light up, and he feels happy. Lin Shi tells the teacher that gifts don't necessarily indicate love and that questioning their test scores means questioning the entire surveillance system. She also points out that Hai Ming is just doing this out of jealousy because she got a scholarship while Hai Ming didn't. After Lin Shi leaves the office, Junxing tells her he's proud of her for standing up for what's right. Meanwhile, Yi Mian arrives in the other city, but she quickly realizes Xiang is following her. She approaches him, scolds him for stalking her, and tells him not to worry about her. Yi Mian then calls the boy, telling him she's in the city, but he responds that he's busy with a university test and can't meet her. As the boy walks past Yi Mian with another girl, he tells her that Yi Mian is just a silly little girl and doesn't notice that she's standing right in front of him. Yi Mian is heartbroken, and Xiang tries to comfort her. Back in the meantime, Junxing and Lin Shi take the university entrance exam and both get accepted, sharing the happy news with each other. They go to the cafeteria to celebrate. Yi Mian calls Lin Shi, crying and telling her what happened, but Xiang takes the phone and reassures them that Yi Mian will be fine. Meanwhile, Junxing and Lin Shi spot some fireworks and feel excited as they await their college journey. With final exams approaching, strict rules are put in place at school, such as set meal times and designated shower times, and students must shower with cold water to ensure they don't exceed the allotted time. The girls try to work around this, so Lin Shi and Yi Mian heat up some water to wash their hair, which causes them to catch a cold. Junxing and Xiang take care of the girls, tending to their needs. Xiang tries to talk to Mr. Shi to get the shower rules changed, but when he comes back to his friends, he admits that he failed. Determined, Junxing and the group hatch a plan to alter the shower schedule. They sneak into the security room and manage to disable some cameras, while Xiang steals the keys to the bathrooms. Meanwhile, their third friend plays music through the school's microphone, signaling that it's shower time for everyone. But the plan backfires when Mr. Shi catches them in the act and punishes Junxing, Xiang, and their friends. He sentences them to run laps around the playground. The entire school gathers to try and stop the punishment, but Mr. Shi stands firm. Seeing their friends in trouble, Lin Shi decides to join Junxing in the punishment, and Yi Mian follows suit. Soon, the entire student body is participating, which forces Mr. Shi to stop the punishment and even adjust the shower times to be more reasonable. Afterward, Junxing becomes worried about his future and whether he can still attend the university he wants with Lin Shi. He knows his father is set on sending him abroad. In a heartfelt conversation, Junxing tells his father he wants to study in China and doesn't want to leave, admitting it's because of Lin Shi. The next day at school, the students gather around a tree drawing on the board, each sticking a note with the name of the university they wish to attend. After school, Lin Shi is shocked to find that Junxing's father has come to speak with her. He tells her that Junxing has the opportunity to study abroad, but because of her, he wants to stay in China. He insists that Lin Shi stay away from his son and convince him to pursue the university his father wants. When Lin Shi meets Junxing again, she's acting cold and distant, telling him she's changed her mind about the university she wants to attend. She tells him he's no longer obligated to follow her, making it clear that her feelings have changed. Junxing realizes that his father must have spoken to her, but he's still angry. He feels betrayed, thinking she should be on his side, not his father's. Junxing later sees Qin Kai running despite his injury, still frustrated over his leg not being fully healed. He quickly stops him, and they sit down together, sharing their frustrations. Back at the school, Lin Shi waits for Junxing but can sense his anger. She tries to comfort Qin Kai about the competition he lost due to his injury, giving him a fake medal made of chocolate as an apology. Her gesture lifts his spirits, but Lin Shi is still troubled, not knowing how to fix things with Junxing. Meanwhile, Haiming's mother gives her some medicine to help her focus on her studies and gain more energy. However, Haiming is unhappy with her mother's insistence on pushing her to be perfect, feeling like all her mother cares about are her grades. In a moment of despair, Haiming decides to end all this, overwhelmed by the pressure. Fortunately, the group of friends finds out and rushes to her. Each of them opens up about the struggles they face, sharing how their parents' expectations weigh on them. As they talk about their burdens, their parents are searching for them. Hearing their children speak out about their pain, Junxing's father arrives just in time. Junxing, in a burst of emotion, yells at his father, telling him that he has dreams and desires of his own, and it's his right to make his own decisions, just like his father did. After this emotional confrontation, Lin Shi apologizes to Junxing for her actions, and Junxing forgives her, telling her that she should support him no matter what happens. On the way home, Junxing's father remains upset by his son's decision but finally relents, telling him that it's his choice, but warns him that if he ever regrets it, he will not help him. As the final exams approach, Lin Shi gets a distressing call. The men responsible for her brother's accident have gotten into a fight with her father, and he's now in the hospital. Lin Shi, torn between her responsibilities and her family, rushes to the hospital, where she finds her father with a broken leg, though his condition isn't too serious. Afterward, Junxing and Lucci visit her father, and for the first time, her family meets Lucci. The family deeply cares for Lucci, and he feels the same way about them. Meanwhile, outside the hospital, Junxing tries to comfort Lin Shi, reminding her that even though she didn't pass this year, she still has time. He promises he'll be waiting for her at the university and that their friendship will never be forgotten. Despite the setbacks, all the friends are accepted into university, but Lin Shi has to repeat her final year. To lift her spirits, the group takes her out to karaoke, but while Lin Shi tries to smile, Junxing notices the effort behind it and spots the tears in her eyes. As Lin Shi repeats the year, she's initially feeling isolated, but then she learns that Qin Kai, always the fool, has also decided to fail his exam so he can repeat the year with her, not wanting her to face it alone. Meanwhile, Junxing is adjusting to university life, overwhelmed by the attention from girls who want to be close to him. Lin Shi calls him, asking how things are going at university and if he's made any new friends, especially any girls. Junxing replies that he's not pursuing any relationships, except for one girl who's a year below him in medical college. When Junxing's birthday arrives, Lin Shi bakes him a cake and sets up a video call to celebrate with him, showing that no matter the distance, their bond remains strong. Junxing, however, couldn't respond to Lin Shi's call, as he was busy celebrating his birthday with the acting club he's part of. Lin Shi later sees a photo on the university's website, showing Junxing with the club's leader, holding a birthday cake. The sight of it makes Lin Shi feel upset, assuming the girl in the picture, Natalie, is Junxing's girlfriend. Heartbroken, Lin Shi decides to ignore Junxing's calls and cuts all communication with him. In an attempt to help, Qin Kai urges Lin Shi to call Junxing, but when she does, Natalie answers the phone. She rudely questions who's calling and insults Lin Shi when she refuses to speak to her. Lin Shi becomes more certain that Junxing has cheated on her with Natalie. Meanwhile, Xiang informs Junxing that older students have the opportunity to visit their old schools to deliver motivational speeches. If Junxing wants to see Lin Shi, he needs to apply. Junxing makes the effort and successfully goes to the school, delivering the speech. Lin Shi is happy to see him, as she's missed him terribly, but the pain is too much for her to bear. She leaves the event abruptly. Junxing follows her, desperately asking why she's ignoring him and why she's acting this way. Lin Shi, with a heavy heart, tells him that they've each chosen their own path, and that he has forgotten the promises he made to her. Junxing, still confused by Lin Shi's cold behavior, assures her that he never forgot about her and is still waiting for her at the university. However, before they can talk more, Qin Kai steps in and pulls Lin Shi away. For the entire year, Lin Shi keeps her distance from Junxing, avoiding him at all costs. She finally passes her final exams and is able to join the university. When she arrives, she finds all her friends waiting for her, but she remains distant toward Junxing, much to his surprise. The group goes to a restaurant together, and Yi Mian teasingly asks Lin Shi when she plans to get a boyfriend. Lin Shi jokingly replies that she'll get one when she and Xiang become a couple, though she adds that she still has to find a boyfriend first. Junxing overhears this and leaves, frustrated and hurt. Yi Mian, sensing the tension, asks Lin Shi why she's keeping away from Junxing. Lin Shi, in a bitter tone, says that she knows he's with Natalie now. Yi Mian, however, reassures her that Natalie is just a friend and that Junxing and she only work together in the acting club. Yi Mian then convinces Lin Shi to join her at the theater to show her that Junxing and Natalie's relationship is strictly professional. But when they get there, they see Junxing and Natalie together after practice, which causes Lin Shi to feel more confused. As Lin Shi and Yi Mian leave the theater, Lin Shi tells Yi Mian that she's happy for Junxing, but also comes to the realization that he never made any promises to her, nor did he ever confess his love. She feels as if she's been holding onto something that wasn't really there. Later, the friends gather at a cafe where Xiang works. While they're there, Yi Mian notices other girls flirting with Xiang, which sparks a wave of jealousy in her. Wanting to distract herself, she starts talking to a guy at the cafe. Xiang, noticing her talking to him, rushes over and pulls her away to the kitchen, clearly upset. He accuses her of flirting with the guy and explains that he's been working there to save money to buy her a ticket for the BTS concert, something she's always dreamed of. Yi Mian feels a mix of happiness and guilt, realizing how much Xiang cares for her, and she hugs him as an apology. Meanwhile, a playful guy at the cafe tries to get closer to Lin Shi. As the barista, he offers her a drink, claiming it's milk tea, but it's actually spiked with alcohol. Junxing, noticing the situation, rushes to Lin Shi's side just in time to stop the guy. As things start to escalate, Lin Shi, already intoxicated, falls. Before the guy can do anything, Junxing steps in, shoving him away and threatening him to stay away from Lin Shi. He then helps the drunk Lin Shi out of the cafe, determined to get her home safely. On their way out, a confused and tipsy Lin Shi, still angry at Junxing, tells him that she's upset because he forgot his promise and got another girlfriend. Junxing reassures her, telling her that's not true, that he never forgot her, and he hasn't broken his promise. Junxing, feeling the weight of Lin Shi's doubts, tells her that throughout the entire year, he's only been waiting for her. He explains that every time she cut their calls, it felt like she was taking away the one thing that kept him going. Lin Shi, still struggling to believe him, takes off the necklace he gave her and tells him she no longer wants to be with him. Heartbroken, Junxing quietly takes her to the student housing. The next morning, Lin Shi wakes up with a heavy fog in her mind, unable to recall much from the night before. She searches for the necklace, but it's gone. Junxing is waiting for her, explaining that the barista had spiked her drink with alcohol, and that she was completely drunk. He warns her not to go back to that cafe alone. Determined to make sure she's okay, Junxing follows Lin Shi to her college. He sits in on her lecture, where the professor announces they need a model for a lesson. Lin Shi quickly volunteers Junxing, much to his shock. The professor insists that Junxing strip down to his shirt so they can learn about human muscles, and Junxing, blushing and embarrassed, reluctantly complies. Meanwhile, Lin Shi is having the time of her life, snapping pictures of him, which she later sends to the group chat. Her friends laugh at Junxing, making fun of his awkward situation. After class, Lin Shi teases Junxing with the photo, but before things can go further, Natalie suddenly appears, grabs Lin Shi's phone, and pulls Junxing away. Junxing, looking back at Lin Shi, pleads for her to wait for him and not leave. Lin Shi, heartbroken after overhearing Junxing tell Natalie that he would never abandon her, storms off, seeking solace at the cafe where the barista works. Junxing notices her with another guy and, filled with jealousy, confronts the men, threatening to expose his inappropriate chat with a girl to the entire university. The guy, intimidated, quickly backs off and leaves. It's revealed that the girl he's been chatting with is none other than Qin Kai, who had agreed to help Junxing by pretending to be a flirtatious girl. Outside, Lin Shi angrily confronts Junxing, yelling at him about the guy who wanted to teach her how to drive. Junxing, trying to make amends, offers to teach her himself, but Lin Shi refuses. Meanwhile, Qin Kai receives news from his coach that he's been accepted into the Olympics and has a good chance of winning. He decides to tell Lin Shi, promising to dedicate his medals to her. However, Lin Shi is constantly followed by Junxing, who tries to talk to her. She lashes out, telling him that he's forgotten about her and is now living his own life. She begs him to leave her alone. Junxing takes her to a place where Natalie is proposing to her boyfriend, revealing that she had only wanted his help to set up the proposal. Lin Shi, deeply embarrassed, can't bring herself to face Junxing. But Junxing won't let her go, gently explaining that her misunderstanding was the cause of all this turmoil. With a full heart, he confesses his love for her, admitting he's never loved anyone but her. Overwhelmed with joy, Lin Shi confesses her love too, revealing that she never forgot about him. Meanwhile, Qin Kai, still searching for Lin Shi, arrives at the spot but realizes that he's lost her to Junxing for good. With a heavy heart, he leaves for the Olympics. As Lin Shi and Junxing finally become a couple, their love story takes flight, while Qin Kai's journey to the Olympics begins. The students finally graduate. Lin Shi becomes a doctor, and Junxing has successfully launched his own programming company. One day, they receive an invitation to return to their high school, where Lin Shi finds Junxing in his old school uniform, surrounded by their friends. He presents her with a wedding ring, marking the beginning of a new chapter. The drama ends with their wedding, everyone celebrating in joy. Xiang and Yi Mian are together, and Qin Kai returns from abroad, jokingly telling Junxing that if he ever makes Lin Shi unhappy, he'll take her away. That's all for today's recap. Don't forget to subscribe for more.